Good evening and welcome. This is the March 28, 2022 regular meeting of the Center Region Council of Governments General Forum. At this point, I would ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Hi, this is really my face. This is not a mask. Okay? Mr. Binkley, please roll call.
Sure. We have a couple of elected officials still filing in. So,
Okay.
Mr. Balachandran.
Yes, here.
Mr. Barlow.
Here.
Ms. Beering is not able to join us. Mr. Beaver.
Present.
Ms. Engman.
Here.
Mr. Lipscomb. Mr. Marshall.
Here.
Mr. Bernier.
Here.
Mr. Best.
Here.
Mr. Frank.
Here.
Ms. Stilson.
Here.
Mr. Takak.
Present.
Ms. Caldwell.
Here.
Ms. Giannini.
Here.
Ms. Stevens.
Here.
Ms. Strickland.
Here.
Ms. Williams. Mr. Beck. Ms. Hartle. Mr. Piper.
Here.
Mr. Cervello.
Here.
Mr. Strauss.
Evening.
Mr. Graham.
Here.
Mr. Hammeister. Mr. Harding.
Here.
Mr. Lord.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Abrams.
Here.
Mr. Magruder.
Here.
Ms. Robb.
Here.
Mr. Trevino.
I'm here.
And Ms. Whitman.
Here.
Mr. Chair, I give the meeting back to you.
Excellent. Thank you. Scott, did we receive any public comments prior to the meeting?
Not prior.
Director.
I'm sorry, not prior to.
Very good. Does anyone have any comments for the general forum for anything not on this evening's agenda? I see Pam's hand. Is that for this, Pam? Fire away.
Yes, please. Typically, this is the best spot to introduce a new staff member. We attempted this last week, so hopefully Erica has sound this time. I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce to the general forum our newest staff member, Miss Erica Mann. She is our new Active Adult Center supervisor. She started with us officially on March 14th, but then a couple days prior to that, working with us part-time, just getting the ropes. I think Erica is on the call. There she is.
Hello.
Yes, please say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I apologize last time. Something wasn't working right. Hopefully you can all hear me. So this is start of week 3 at the Active Adult Center. Things are really turning the corner. Our participation has increased just in the 2 weeks I've been here. I think with the mask mandate being lifted, more people are coming in the center. We've got a lot of great presenters coming in and looking to expand and bring in some new relationships with the community to try and get some more interesting and things moving along and kind of hit the local seniors. So if anybody needs anything from me, feel free to reach out to me at the center, and it'll be great to hopefully meet all of you in person soon. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you for the time.
Yep, thank you. That was a do-over from last month. We actually have a couple more in our next agenda item. Are there any other public comments? If not, the chair has just a couple. As you saw out front, if you're in person, the replacement tanker 5.2 was here. It's quite a beautiful piece of equipment. I also wanted to share that I had the good fortune of breaking bread with the Alphas this past Saturday. They're a very proud and distinguished group. At that event, they recognized various service award folks that range from 5 years of service to 50 years of service. They also presented 3 individual awards, which went to the most improved firefighter, which was Patrick Casper. The Ronald Ross Firefighter of the Year, which went to James Pletcher. And the William Papp Lauer Spirit Award, which went to Sarah Cola. Unfortunately, I didn't get to break bread with the Bullsburg folks. I was out of the area at the time, but I do want to acknowledge that they also had various years of service awardees. And they also had a Rookie of the Year, Jonathan Fellon, a Firefighter Service Award to Ken Coral, and a Firefighter of the Year to Greg Alters. So we appreciate all their service. It's a unique model in the Center Region that we all benefit from, and they are first-class professionals. If nothing else under public comments, our next item is staff introductions, and I'll turn it over to Eric, who will probably turn it over to somebody else.
Right, so thank you. We had one of the introductions already, and I'd like to turn the next introduction over to Jim May to introduce our latest staff member in Center Region Planning Administration. So thank you.
Thank you, Eric, and good evening, everyone. I'm Jim May. I'm the Center Regional Planning Agency Director. I'm proud to introduce Jim Saylor, our new Principal Transportation Planner. Jim will be taking over Tom Zilla's position. As you know, we had a hiccup during this process, and Jim ends up being a very qualified, highly qualified candidate that we're proud to have. Today was his first day, and Tom had planned to be retired starting today, so I approved a vacation so he could go golfing for a couple of days. But in any case, we have Jim, and I'm going to ask Jim to tell us a little bit about himself before we begin.
Hey, good evening and thank you. For the last 14 years, I've been working over at COG, leading the Metropolitan Transportation Planning Program there. It's the next MPO to the east of here. It covers an 8-county service area. It's a little bit more small urban, maybe a little bit less built up than you're used to in this area. Prior to that, I worked as a traffic engineer at one of the local consulting firms. I am a civil engineer licensed in Pennsylvania and certainly local talent. I spent about the last 4 years living in the borough of State College, but I was born and raised in the borough of Bellefonte. So I am very happy to have the opportunity to start here and to, as Jim said, it's just day one, so I don't have much of a progress report at this point.
Just come back tomorrow.
He says his speed is going to drive 120 miles a day to work.
That's a definite improvement.
Well, welcome. We look forward to working with you. We'll keep you busy for sure. Any more introductions?
Nope,
We run out of new staff.
we're excited to have both on board. Thank you.
Excellent. Does any of the members of the general forum have any new agenda items that they wish to be considered to add to this evening's agenda? Seeing nor hearing none, our next item is the consent agenda. Consent agenda for March 28th consists of the approval of the minutes from our February 28th, 2022 meeting. We have a draft resolution to designate May as Bike Month. We have a Soul Smart designation certification. We have a revision of COG budget process document. We have a technical advisory group for CAAP implementation. And we have updating Center Region bike plan maps and tables to reflect current conditions. For this item, I will advise that we have 2 de minimis changes to that document. One is clarify the description of item F70 in the Ferguson Township tables from Whitehall Road Regional Park Shared Use Path from Blue Course Drive Path to Musser Gap Gateway to Whitehall Regional Park Shared Use Path from Blue Course Drive Path to State Route 45. The big key going from Musser Gap Greenway to State Route 45. The second change is from the pending adoption of the revised official map by Ferguson Township Board of Supervisors on April 19, 2022, to pending adoption of the revised official map by Ferguson Township Board of Supervisors no more than 60 days from general forum action. Again, that's changing from a hard date of April 19th to no more than 60 days from general forum action. That concludes our consent agenda items, CA1 to CA6. Does anybody wish any of those items pulled before we consider a vote? Mr. Hart?
Yes, I don't necessarily need to pull, but I'd like some questions answered on a couple of them before we vote, if I could. Number CA4 and CA5.
Okay.
Okay, on CA4, this is a minor question. On the CA4B, facilities committee process. For the facilities condition assessments to be included in the capital improvement program, they must be approved by the facilities committee at their March meeting, March 1st it has in there. But our March meeting was canceled. Now, I've been told that, you know, well, it's what's approved now, but according to this procedure, it would be my understanding that that would have to be done as an evolution in March, as part of our March meeting. So I guess my clarification, I need some clarification here, and I guess, I don't know who would give me that, but.
I think Joe.
I think the clarification is we need to start the CIP project process in March with data. So we found that last year, in theory, we will update the CIP with the facility condition assessment data. But we were working on some facility condition assessments, you know, between March, April, May, and we just ended up updating the living document a couple times, and it was just creating confusion between the agency administration and getting the document out. So we said at this point in time, let's just put a date down for facilities condition assessments so that we can say, hey, this is when we start the CIP process, and everything that's on the facilities condition assessment will go into the CIP, and if it's still pending adoption, we're just gonna hold that off till next year's CIP. So it would still go in there, it just would not go in until the following year to populate the CIP. And then down at the bottom of the document that everybody received within there, we put in an asterisk to sort of discuss this along the line. So it says, based upon information becoming more readily available or changing over the course of time, staff wants to underscore that the plans presented in the CIP in early April and the program plan in early June could change by the time the detailed budget is presented to the Finance Committee in mid-September. As always, staff will do their best to communicate any changes in assumptions, information, or requests in clear and consistent manner in advance of detailed budget being distributed. So that was put in there to basically say, we know that the budget process and the information and facility condition assessments is still evolving throughout the entire 6-month budget process. So we will communicate back and forth, whether it's from facilities committee to finance to the general forum, just to give everybody that information if something does change between the time the CIP is there to the program plan to the detailed budget. Again, just flowing forward with best information, but trying not to continually adjust a document that needs to be published as of a given point in time.
That's fine, I understood all that. But my question still is,
Right.
it says that it must be approved by the committee.
So if I could offer a suggestion.
Well, let me finish before. Okay, the only thing I was gonna say, does that mean that we aren't starting that process till next March? Is that what you're telling me?
No, that is not what we're trying to tell you. So I would suggest in place of at their March meeting, March 1st, it'd be through their March meeting. That would cover everything that had occurred prior to March 1st.
So will we be looking at this in April to like post-approve it?
Well, what would happen is in April, it would definitely impact then the following year's CIP. So this year we're doing the 2023 to 2027 CIP. So if the facility condition assessment's approved in April, then that would populate going forward in the 24 to 28 CIP.
Okay, so then if we haven't approved anything in March, then we have nothing going in this year.
Everything that has been approved prior to March. You've already approved several.
I'll read your language. They must approve by the facilities committee at their March meeting. That's what your procedure says. And that's my question.
Okay.
Is if that's what the procedure says.
If we go much further, we're going to pull the item for
All
further
right,
discussion.
I'll just take that under advisement. I'll take your answer. But I think that's something we need to look at. We're gonna write procedures we gotta follow.
That's verbiage in our consent agenda, but okay.
That's fine.
We'll
You
take
might
it.
change the verbiage, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
The second, CA5. I have some question on the technical advisory group, and especially number 3 on the bottom there, where it has the 5 things: resources and funding needing to implement the actions, and the also the impact of the action. My concern there is that, you know, when we do funding, whatever it is in the general forum, that needs to come either before the general forum or it needs to go to the municipality. If I read that, it kind of implies that that's something the committee can do, or this technical advisory group can do, and I'm not sure I like that. I don't have a problem with putting the thing together, but I'm not sure that I like that verbiage that is going to allow that committee to kind of have its own go, for other words. And that's pretty much, again, that's the verbiage of that document. So I'm just a little concerned with that verbiage.
Jim, will you or Pam clarify that?
Right, and I can take a stab at it.
Sure, why don't we ask Pam to jump in, and then if Betsy wants to add.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my vision for the tag is that they would not be calling out what the money, I mean, they're gonna make a recommendation on the amount of money that would be needed as far as for implementing different actions, as well as what resources. So it's solely a recommendation that would go to the Climate Action and Sustainability Committee. And any kind of budget planning over the next 3 years would have to go through totally the Finance Committee, the normal process. But at this point, we don't know what it's going to take to do certain things. So if we say we'd like to do these things, we want to associate some cost as well as some benefits to them so that the elected officials can make the decision. It is by no means saying that they have full gamut of spending money, that we know we don't.
Great.
I don't know. And it does say
Right.
recommendations up there, but it's really just trying to identify if we're going to actually do these actions, how are we going to do them? Who's going to do them? And not everything is going to be a cost, but some things there will be a need for funding.
Right, and at the bottom of page 6, just above the 5 bullets, it does identify recommendations. Lori, you're behind my record button, so thanks, staff. Go ahead, Laura.
Thank you. Just following up on that question, the plan is regional and it encompasses both regional COG government structure and municipal structure, and then also all the residents of all the municipalities. So do you have a handle on what the strategy, like, will it recommend equal parts each municipality and COG changes, or only COG changes, or only straight direct to resident changes? Like, how will those recommendations be organized for those that are participating in it? I think, does that question make sense?
Yes.
In relation to this document? Okay, thank you.
Go ahead,
Yep.
Pam.
Yep, it definitely makes sense, and I don't know exactly how it's gonna be laid out, but basically, we've identified the first phase really needs to be municipal, local government. So when I think of local government, I think of COG and municipal operations. And I don't know that we'll get down into the weeds as far as which one should be doing more or less, but we want to be able to provide the opportunity for the municipalities to decide if they're going to take these actions.
Great.
So there's
great.
going to be local government, but then there's sort of steps, you know, a process that's going to be recommended so that we provide that leadership, and then maybe we work with the school district, other government entities, other nonprofits to try to build that community momentum and work in that direction. But it's going to start with local government and then reach out into, really, there's probably like the business side and the residential side, so.
True, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I think that answers my question. Just like in terms of making an action list, yes, the municipalities will each get an action list, and so will COG, basically. Yeah, and we'll go for it. Thank you much.
Betsy, did you have anything that you wanted to? anything
I
you
think
wanted
I'm
to-
good.
Okay,
And
very
if
good.
you have
Go
more
ahead.
time, I'm gone.
Go ahead.
I'm good with it.
You're good?
I'm excellent.
Okay. So going back to the consent agenda, we got a little spread on that, but I think there were good questions, good clarifications. Thank you to all. I am going to suggest that we do modify CA4, bullet B, replace the word at with the word through, so the intent is a little clearer. And with that, I will say we have CA1, CA2, CA3, CA4 as amended, CA5, and CA6 as amended. If anyone's
So
comfortable. I'm sorry, who was that?
So moved, Peter Marshall.
Thank you, Peter, appreciate it.
Second.
Multiple seconds, Scott, take your pick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion carries, thank you. Continuing on in the agenda, National Library Week proclamation. Lisa, I believe you're leading this out.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So National Library Week is a time to celebrate our nation's libraries, library workers' contributions, and to promote library use and support. It was first sponsored in 1958, and National Library Week is sponsored by the American Library Association. It's observed in libraries across the country each April, and it celebrates all types of libraries: school, public, academic, and special libraries. And the theme for the National Library Week in 2022 is Connect with Your Library. And here at SCLO Center Region Library, every day, we connect our community to technology, information, programs, ideas, and classes, in addition to an awful lot of books. And we connect members of our community also to each other. And we want to thank you for considering a proclamation recognizing April 3 through 9, 2022 as Library Week in the Center Region.
Excellent. Questions for Lisa? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve the recommended
So moved.
motion. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing or seeing none, call the question. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Continuing on, university report. Ms. Young.
Yes, good evening, everyone. No new news to share, but I will say that our team is preparing to present to you next month on MG2B. We have some good news to share, so stay tuned. We'll see you next month.
Questions for the university rep? Seeing nor hearing none. State College Area School District report. Who's Ms. Brandt? Yes, she is. Ms. Brandt.
Yes, good evening, everyone. We have a few items that we wanted to share with you all. The first is that tomorrow at the high school, there is a program called SPIRIT, School Student Problem Identification and Resolution of Issues Together. And this is put on by the Department of Justice. And it's a neat opportunity for students at the high school. It's all day, it's student focused, and it engages students, school administrators, teachers, school resource officers, and other school and community members in identifying issues impacting the school and developing and implementing solutions to resolve those issues. And so that will be exciting and interesting and hopefully solution seeking tomorrow at the high school. The second item is that the school district and State College Borough have been working together to try to come to an agreement about the use of the lights at the field next to the high school on the track. And as of now, the next time this will be discussed at the borough is April 4th at that meeting. And so anybody who is interested in this issue and would like for the school district to be able to use that field within the times that the marching band needs, then, and also outside community groups potentially to be able to use the field, then make sure you make your voice heard with an email or public comment. And then the third issue is this is an exciting issue where we're making some progress. Back, oh gosh, it's been a few years now, when the CRPR did the comprehensive study for Parks and Rec, one of the recommendations from the consultants was that the school district and CRPR form an MOU together about facilities and field use. And that has been stalled for many reasons. COVID, I'm sure, is one of them, but we're making some progress now. And that's actually going to be discussed at the SCASD Facilities and Grounds Committee. So that's exciting progress to report there for that potential MOU. Fourth, I've brought this up in a couple committee meetings, but I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware that the school district is currently undergoing a process for redistricting some of the attendance areas for the elementary schools, because currently some have too many students and there's others that have more space available, and it hasn't been done in quite a while, and demographic shift, that kind of thing. So the district is going to be embarking on community outreach. And so families throughout the district who want to get involved in this process should be aware that we don't have dates yet, but that will be coming soon. Also, I thought I would just give an update that the solar purchase power agreement will have a presentation for the general forum on April 25th, and update about the progress being made for putting out an RFP in the near future, which is very exciting. And also a presentation at the State College Area School District Board meeting on April 11th. And so it's the same presentation, but hopefully everybody throughout the center region can watch one of these presentations and learn about the progress of the SPPA. And the idea is that we'll streamline this presentation, and they'll both be videoed, of course, so that anybody can see that presentation. So including especially COG members and elected officials. And then I also just wanted to mention really quickly to Erica, I believe, the Active Adult Center new director, that I happen to have an in with an astronomer who would be more than happy to give a presentation at the Active Adult Center, because I'm married to him. His name's Neil Brandt, and he is a professor at Penn State, supermassive black holes and galaxies. And so he'd be happy to do some outreach with the Active Adult Center. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Excellent. Questions for our State College School District rep? Seeing nor hearing none, we move on to Executive Director report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have a fact-filled and information-filled activity report that was in your packet. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or the agency directors here tonight will be happy to help with that if there are any questions. And if there are no questions on the activity report, I'd like to just let you move on to the great presentations we're going to have under the agency director reports.
Great, will do. Questions for the director? Seeing nor hearing none, we will continue on to agency director reports. First up, Ms. Collins at the library.
Thank you, Chair. So remember, I was talking just a little bit ago about the National Library Week theme of connecting with your library. Well, tonight we wanted to highlight our refreshed library website, schoollibrary.org. And this website provides just tremendous service to our community. It's open 24/7, 365. And in 2021, SCLO's virtual branch received over 1.4 million visits, which is just phenomenal. It was the backbone of our library services during the pandemic, and we continue to discover ways to engage our community via the digital branch. At SCLO, we use a library-wide perspective when we're developing technology, and that's to ensure that we have as many patron perspectives as possible and that we're utilizing all of those different perspectives. And it will not surprise you that the refreshed website project, which we've worked on over the past year, we have involved staff from throughout the library. And it was such a large project, I did want to take a moment of your time just to highlight some members of the SCLO website team that have worked so hard on the project, and really to show you how we all come together with these different departments and different areas of expertise to really serve our community in a really united way. From patron services, we have Ben Drain and Colleen Fisher. From children's, Katie Brennan and Paula Bannon. From technical services, our cataloging and discovery services librarian, Laura Hayward. From philanthropy, Molly Hetrick and Kelly Walker. From administration, Amy Caputo, DJ Lilly, and me, I got to help a little bit. From adult services, we have Maria Burchell, Karen Lambert, and Laura Bowman. And finally, from IT services, we have Josh Cole, Phil Collins, and Nathaniel Rasmussen, who is going to be here with us today. Now, Nathaniel is the project manager for this undertaking, and he's going to provide us with sort of just a real brief overview tonight on the sclolibrary.org refresh project. But I did want to say that Nathaniel's commitment to community engagement, to customer service, and technology accessibility, it really shines through in every project he's involved in. I think you're going to see that, and this one is no different. We're extraordinarily lucky to have him as our head of IT for SCLO. Nathaniel, are you ready to kind of show us a little bit about what's going on and some of those wonderful new pieces?
Sure, Lisa, it'd be my pleasure to do that. We've been working hard on this, and I'm excited to share it with you all. I'm going to share my screen. Can everyone see that all right? Very good. Thank you for the confirmation. Yeah, so I mean, I should probably start off as a recap for some of you, or if you're new on the general forum. You know, why are we doing this? You know, we heard that from some of our patrons already. Why did you change? I like the old one. One of the main drivers for this project was to provide some critical security updates. You know, the web just doesn't stay the same for very long. And so when you release something sophisticated as our website, it's just bound to get old, and you know, it's time to do an update. So we had to do that this time around. We were able to do all that on the back end, while in the meantime, respond to some of the great feedback we get from our patrons. Our developer provides a really great tool for us to track patron feedback. We have a survey running on the site all the time, and we can even tie that to what the patrons are doing on the site to see if there's a certain area that might have caused frustration, that sort of thing. So we take all that data, we get reports on it quarterly, and we're able to make some really exciting changes as a result of this redo on the back end. So the first thing you'll see, I hope, is that the site is very clean, fresh, airy. These are the words that our staff have been describing it as, and I think it works pretty well. It's a less weighty page to look at. On the homepage, we still have those popular carousels. People like to browse our books by just simply clicking through. So you'll see, you know, we have the different lists, what's new, coming soon, what's hot, those types of topics. And staff are constantly refreshing those to present some of our titles and offerings to our patrons visually as they come to the site. One of the things we really wanted with this breakthrough or this redesign is to provide additional places to highlight areas that we think people don't know about SCLO. So you'll see here we have our 3 highlights, and then some featured events, things that are important to us coming up, and then even more highlights down below here for press releases, like about our new auto renewal service, as well as some other things, you know, a call out to donate and volunteer, and our podcast. So That's the homepage. You'll also see up here at the very top, we have this new thing. They call this the utility menu in the upper right corner above the search bar. Very prominent is the donate. Wanted to highlight that for you all especially. We even made it so that when you are looking at the site in the mobile presentation, that is still a prominent link. So everyone can show us their support to the library easily from our site. So that's the homepage. In addition to that, there's a few more changes I wanted to highlight. We've renamed eBooks and More, Books and Downloads. We've done that because we wanted to include some of the things that are physical materials that people can check out from the library. So in addition to the traditional links to the really popular resources like Libby by Overdrive, our homework tutoring through Help Now, things like that, we also have links to things like More Than Books here, which is a really cool little collection of some of the more obscure things you might check out from the library, whether it's a ukulele or a museum pass or a digital projector kit, that sort of thing. So we're hoping to see this area grow, but we are excited about this new sort of scope of this page and to help sort of break out some of the things that we provide that are great. On the children's page, it's always, one of the most vibrant, dynamic places in the building, and we wanted a page to match that. So you'll see a lot of colors, a lot of really great things that we can call attention to now that we didn't have before, including the popular event calendars that folks can download, their own set of carousels. And then this page right here, Programs and Resources, is a really exciting new page that goes even further into describing all the wonderful things our children's department does. So definitely worth a perusal at your leisure, but I think you'll appreciate looking at that as well. And then the other one that I wanted to show out was, this is a new concept, using SCLO. This takes the place on our old site of a page we had developed for our response to the COVID-19 crisis called SCLO at Home. But using SCLO in our mind is sort of a way to bring together all the things that someone might want to know about using us. So right on the top, you have our basic contact information, phone number, all that sort of stuff. Some frequently asked questions, as well as the link to all of those. But also some things about computers and technology, and some of the more interesting things that we provide that people may not know about. Our SCLO to School program is very popular, delivering books to kids in the schools. Library by mail for folks that can't get to the library. They can still have the library sent to them, and a bunch of other things too. So definitely encourage you to check that one out. I think this is going to be a really popular page. We do also have a page that's sort of a guide to a new patron, and we'll be developing that a little bit more too. So we're excited about that as well. What else is new? We've completely overhauled how our patrons are going to be able to authenticate into all of these great resources that we license online. There are many, many things under the research tab as before that are licensed and really high quality content. And now folks hopefully will have even less of a trouble accessing this stuff. I can't get into the nitty gritty unless you want me to about the technical details. But this was a big part of the project actually, and we're pleased that we're now offering this as a more future-proof way to provide this type of access. In addition to that, our classes and events page, very similar to what it was before, but it's a little bit more browsable. You can filter by audience. Say you want to see elementary age kid events having to do with arts and crafts. I don't know if there are any, so forgive me while I do this live. Yeah, and then you'll see we have some events coming up that match those. So yeah, we have some great stuff there. And we're all pretty excited about these changes. They're all relatively subtle. We didn't want to rock the boat too much because our website does, as Lisa highlighted with those stats, it performs very, very well. We benchmark ourselves against other libraries in the state and the nation, and our site performs as well as anyone could hope a library website could. It really does. So we just wanted to make things even better. So hopefully that's what we did. If you have any desire to provide feedback yourself, you're more than welcome to use the feedback tab at the very top of every page on the site. You can click feedback. We're going to leave that up for another couple of weeks at least, if not longer. And you can just let us know what you think. That would be great. Or ask the folks that you talk to in our community to provide their feedback. We love feedback, especially right now, because in a couple of weeks, we're going to get a chance to squash any remaining bugs. Well, probably not any, but at least our high priority ones. We should have a good chance to do that with our developer. It's sort of one last push So right now, all the feedback we get really helps us prioritize and make sure that we're using that final set of resources on the project as efficiently as we can. And then lastly, we'll continue collecting all this data on our site, and I look forward to sometime in the future coming back and tell you if we've noticed any performance enhancements. You know, we have lots of ways that we can look at the site and how it performs thanks to this valuable tool we have. So I'm looking forward to hopefully telling you a good story in a few months after we've collected some more data on this change. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Great, Mr. Harden.
Yeah, just for us old computer challenge people, what's
Yes.
the official name of your website?
SCLOlibrary.org, SCLOlibrary.org.
Thank you.
Other
Yeah, you're
questions
welcome.
for Lisa or Nathaniel? Thank you both. That's once again Schlo leading the way. So it's tough to make good great, but you guys do it well. So thank you.
Thank you so
very
much.
Continuing on the agency director reports, Ms. Alexandris.
Hi again, everybody. Sorry, Chair, I realized I did jump ahead at the beginning of the meeting. I forgot
that was a
Mr.
do-over.
had given us an introduction spot.
That was a do-over.
Sorry about that. Yes, so on your agenda tonight, we have pledged to provide updates for Whitehall Road Regional Park on a quarterly basis. We are almost to the end of March, so we thought it would be a good time to present an update. So I'm just going to pull up some notes in front of me. Several items to report out on at this point. Lou Brungard, COG Facilities COG Facilities Coordinator, and I continue to complete all the tasks related to our contracting. So that includes collecting all of the signed documents to not only include the contracts, but the performance and payment bonds, certificates of insurance, W-9s, and we're also in the process of drafting all purchase orders, ensuring that they have sales tax exempt certificates for the authority and getting those signatures. In addition, our project manager was approved by the authority at their March 17th meeting. Mr. Ed Bell was appointed as an independent contractor for this position, and his official start date was today. We have organized some space for him in our agency's office, and I know there is space being organized for him in the COG administration suite as well. And then, of course, he will have working space out of the construction trailer on site at Whitehall. We're pulling documents for his review, and he will be getting caught up with all of us on reviewing submittals, looking at any initial paperwork that we have. We're also bringing him up to speed on the land development plan, scope changes. Lou, Eric Nornberg, and myself met with Ferguson Township staff last week. We wanted to review with them the reduced scope changes for phase 1 and how those need to be reviewed to ensure that they are meeting all ordinances for Ferguson Township, to include design, minimal requirements, as well as stormwater management. So that work is in process right now. Stahl Schaefer is handling getting the required documentation and narrative to Ferguson Township staff. Our engineers and architects, project manager, COG Facilities Coordinator continue to review the submittals by all contractors that I just mentioned those. Those documents are coming in on a daily basis. It's given the staff and all of those folks I've named a chance to review everything as we look at materials, fixture choices, layouts to ensure that everything is correct and accurate to the land development plan and the designs in place for our buildings or fields, lighting, whatever it may be. Our site developer should be mobilizing on site in the very near future. He was scheduled to do that last week, but had some delays. We imagine he will be mobilizing this week. That's going to include setting up their construction trailer installing construction fencing around the Phase 1 project, and begin to establish a driveway or access. And of course, working on establishing temporary electricity for the site as well. Earlier this afternoon, I disseminated a press release regarding the Musser Gap Greenway Trail relocation. So in consultation with Penn State's outreach group, once our construction fence is in place, the Musser Gap Greenway actually relocates to a temporary trail on Penn State property. That trail will be available to walkers and cyclists. Parking options remain available off-site, both at the trailhead off of Route 45, as well as on the Whitehall side at High Point Park and State College Alliance Church. So we have distributed that information and do foresee that temporary trail being in place for approximately a year and a half. Well, excuse me, about a year and 2 to 3 months. And then construction is complete, that trail relocates back to park property. April 4th is the project kickoff meeting. That will include all contractors, the project manager, engineers and architects, agency staff, COG staff, as well as the contractors affiliated with the grant projects. So that brings everybody together. That will give everyone a chance to review site safety, lay down areas, and also review the timeline of the project. And lastly, we do believe that a formal groundbreaking will be scheduled for late in April. We will ensure that that invitation is distributed to all elected officials, as well as to our community members, donors, supporters, et cetera. We are just waiting for final details after that project kickoff meeting and to ensure that we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's, and then we'll get that date out. It was tentatively announced last week, but we're just holding on a formal date announcement until we're good. Know that everything is going forward as needed. So is there anything I can answer for anybody related to the project, the scope, timeline?
Questions for the agency director on Whitehall Road? Gave us a lot to digest there, Pam, but it all sounds like it's going in the correct direction. So that's what we need to see. Is that a hand up in the top left? Yes, Ms. Brandt, please.
Yeah, thanks. I just had a quick question for Pam, which is, is the construction that you see on 45, is that the temporary trailhead?
No, so all of the temporary trail is actually on the Whitehall side. So where the trailhead was, which is right near our north, I guess it would be our north corner of the park, that trail is being relocated off the park property to Penn State farmland. And then as it progresses towards Route 45, it meets the original trail bed, which continues on to the Musser Gap to Valleylands property, and then down to 45 and over to Rothrock. So anything you see on the Route 45 side is not related to our temporary trail relocation.
Oh, I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions for Pam? Not seeing or hearing any, we will continue on. We have our authority board and committee reports. First up, executive committee, Mr. Barlow.
There's really nothing to say that's not in the packet. You've all, actually, most of what was in that committee was on tonight's agenda. So that's my report.
Very good. Next is the finance committee report, Mr. Trevino.
Thank you. I don't have anything to elaborate on above what's already summarized in your agenda packet. And our Rich Frank, our chair, is there anything you would like to elaborate on that I missed?
No, sir.
Okay.
Excellent. Human resources did not meet. Bob, anything that you beyond that you want?
Not at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Parks Capital did not meet. Ms. Danini, anything that you need to bring forward? Very good, thank you. Public Safety Committee did not meet. Mr. Takak, anything? Very good. Facilities Committee did not meet. Ms. Hartle's not here, but Mr. Bernier, anything that needs brought forward for that? I read your lips, it said no. Very good, thank you.
No, we didn't meet. Nothing to report.
Very
Thank
good,
you.
thanks. Land Use and Community Infrastructure Committee, Mr. Haymeister.
We did meet on March 3rd, and the agenda adequately covered what we talked.
Excellent. Climate Action and Sustainability Committee, Ms. Whitman.
You know, everything that we did in our last meeting is very adequately represented in the agenda. Thank you.
Excellent. Parks and Recreation Governance Special Committee, did Ms. Madison join us yet? She's not. Okay. The Parks Governance Committee met on March 23rd. It was our first post-organization meeting. We began the education piece of answering some simple questions so that we made sure that we understood what we were moving forward with, and those included what is an authority, what is it allowed to do, what is an authority not allowed to do, and then we referenced our specific one in what the current documents indicate. We'll continue on that process, continuing to answer questions and finding our way forward. Schlow Center Region Library Board. Is Lisa going to speak to this? Or?
Yes, there was nothing that we wanted to add to what was already written, communicated in the agenda.
Excellent, thank you. Center Region Parks and Recreation Authority, Pam, anything to share on that one? Nope. Okay.
For
Go
us
ahead.
that I can think of at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And we probably threw Lisa and Pam a little note. One of the things that you did see is that this this section, report section grew up a little bit and added our authorities into there as well as our board. Unless there's anything else on reports, not seeing or hearing any. Next item is other business, which includes numerous matters of record. Does staff have anything that they would like to elaborate on those matters of record? Nope. If not, any questions on the matter of record from the members? Why a bunch? Okay, continuing on, we have our calendar readily accessible. We have several helpful reference links where everything COG can be found. If there's nothing else for the good of the cause, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Pam. Rob.
Thanks,
So
Pam.
moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you so much.